Alrighty guys, welcome to Open Water Class Night 1. My name is Benjamin Hadfield. I'm a master instructor. I'm also a technical diving instructor as well, and the only technical diving instructor with about 500 miles here as well. So assisting me this evening will be my blushing bride, Nikki. She is absolutely amazing, far better than I deserve, and probably twice the diver I'll ever be. So she is absolutely amazing and a perfect mermaid companion for a guy that likes to dive a lot. She's usually my partner in crime. If I'm diving, Nikki's generally right there with me as well. Let's see. So this evening, as we kind of go through this, I want you guys to start thinking about something. I want you to think about where your dive journey is going to go, what you want that to look like, because you are the master of your own domain, and where this goes. So think about what you want to get out of diving. And the answer I usually get when I just ask this at night 1 of the class is, I want to see pretty fish on a coral reef. That's usually the easy answer. The great part about that is there's so much more. There's deep diving, there's wrecks, you can get into specialties, you can get into shark diving, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. There's all kinds of amazing, amazing things out there to see and be a part of. We had tonight somebody say they want to get into caves. That's absolutely somewhere you can go. There's all kinds of cool. We are on planet water. I have, being a former Marine, believe firmly that the larger force gets to dictate the rules, right? Big corporation buys a little corporation, it takes the bigger corporation's name, right? Well, 2/3 of the planet is water, right? So 1/3 is Earth. So we're on planet water, not planet Earth, in my opinion. So there's a lot of different places you can take this. You can do this. I personally dive everything from 29-degree fast-moving rivers all the way up to 95 degrees in the crater, to everything in between, heavy drift dives, heavy current surges, beach dives, boat dives. If it has water, if you spit on the ground, I'll try and dive it, right? But as you kind of look through this, I just want to kind of point out, this is a few of the things that I'm able to teach. Search and recovery, altitude diving, navigation, the science behind diving. I love that class. Coral identification, shark ecology, perfect buoyancy is going on right now. One of my assistant instructors is out teaching that. And if you have kids at home that are under 10, we have rangers. So we got all kinds of cool things. So kind of think about where you want this to go. I can teach also something called technical diving, which means I carry lots of tanks because I'm just not enough glutton for punching, because 1 tank isn't heavy enough. 2 tanks must be better, right? The most tanks I've ever carried in one dive is 6. So I carry, nope. I do something called side mount, which I put 3 on each side, but I have carried 2 on my back and 2 on each side. So when you start getting more than 2 on your back, you start putting them on the sides, and you get really creative. And so we can certainly talk about that. But as we go through our presentation this evening, you also see photos that are actually from my own little idea of fun. This is the crater in Utah. It's somewhere you should dive once, and then you'll be done with it. That's me over there in the corner. It's in Homestead, southeast of Salt Lake. It's the only reason I go to Utah. I'm not a Utah fan at all. This is a picture of my wife at about 110 feet. That was me taking the photo behind her, and that is a cave. So caves are absolutely beautiful and amazing. There was a friend of ours that had gone up to see something, and that's his light shining down on her. But that's my blushing bride. Awesome photo. Isn't that cool? It just really came out really nice. I took that with my iPhone, believe it or not. So, and then the green, that's some random lake somewhere, who knows. All lakes are pretty much green. Throughout the class, you may see some other people pop in, maybe see David or Aaron. Aaron's sick tonight. Josh is in Fiji, and Caleb is out teaching a perfect buoyancy, but he will be in the pool with us this evening. There are my assistants. I'm very proud. You might notice my name is on all their cards. I'm very proud of that as well. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? That would absolutely be a miraculous and amazing thing, but unfortunately, no. That was a fairly expensive trip. As you kind of go through, you'll find divers have a weird sense of humor. One of the things I like to do is dive in the ice, and I just scheduled my first ice dive class coming up for this year on February 17th. So I've got a quick little video. We can see what ice diving potentially. Ice diving is a community sport. It's very entourage intensive. The first thing you got to do is spend the first 45 minutes cutting the dang hole, which is a lot of work. And then, of course, you have to run around and dance afterwards because that's just part of it. There's music as well. Yes, we put vanilla ice behind it. We're all wearing something called a dry suit. So we're actually dry underneath. And we can add dry gloves, so we wear fleece gloves. And this is the process of putting a dry suit on. I've got jeans and a t-shirt on. Next, I put on an undergarment that's like a big fully fleece. Then I actually put the dry suit on, and I'm completely dry. And I zip up. And again, it's a... We have a lot of fun ice diving, that's for sure. It was about 18 inches this time. That's me on the left getting in with one of my students. Very comfortable. The water actually warms up when the ice comes over, so it's 38, 39 degrees. But in the dry suit, we have some thermals under. This last time in that dry suit, I did 3 hours of bottom time, was my last dives. It was pretty comfortable. I have cheated and I've gone to a full face mask now, which adds additional warmth. That's looking up at the hole. And that's my blushing bride in her less than a bikini. And me on the right again. But it's a lot of fun. It's very surreal. You're down. That's me down diving under the ice, and you're on a line, so you always know where the hole's at. You may not be able to see the hole, but you'll always know where the hole's at. Is that a reservoir? Yeah, this is at Ryrie Reservoir, about 15, 20 minutes from here. It's a good place to get crawfish, that's for sure. Yep. Down here. There you go. Next slide, please. So how we're going to learn is pretty important. The diver diamond philosophy starts off with, I'm going to develop some knowledge for you guys. And after we develop some knowledge, I'm going to help you acquire some skills. From that point, I'm going to teach you about the equipment so that you're comfortable with that. And then we're going to help develop experience. Now, SSI talks about the experience, but for me, experience is twofold. First, we're going to give you the experience that you're comfortably able to use the gear, right? It's like turning a 16-year-old loose in a new car, right? Or a 15-year-old, I guess, in Idaho, right? We're going to give you some experience so that you don't go crashing and causing problems for others. But I want it to be a good experience. Anybody remember that first driver's ed experience where the driver's ed instructor was like, "Argh!" That was my driver instructor. He was so, I don't know how that man hadn't had a coronary, but he was like, slow down. You're like, so no, we're going to make this a fun experience. We want you to enjoy what you're doing because we want you to become lifelong divers through this process. So that's how we're going to do this. Mickey took my laptop and then ran away. So the process of learning this is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to start your training. We're going to do some water sessions. We're going to learn some new skills. We're going to develop some abilities. We're going to do some more water sessions. We're going to review those skills. We're going to learn some more water skills. We're going to increase your confidence in that. We're going to review those and learn new skills. We're going to evoke some conditioned responses for you guys. We're going to do some water stuff, and then we're going to teach you to be a safe diver. So here's the core standards. I need you guys to all download the My SSI app. If you are having a problem with that, I will work on that tomorrow, but most likely it'll be when Ashley gets back to get your My SSI app done. When you get my email, if you are not able to get into your app, text me or email me, and what I'll do is I will email you the PDF of the book so you can read the book at least. I am not the computer expert, I'm sorry. Once you are able to log into your My SSI, please log in and do your homework. You'll need to look at every page and do all the little quizzes. Good news on the quizzes. If you take the quiz once and pass it, fantastic. You are a superstar. I will not know other than you passed the quiz. If you log in and you do it 18 times and you pass it, congratulations, you're a superstar. You passed. I still won't know that you did it 18 times unless you tell me. If you tell me, then I'll know. And I'll make fun of you incessantly. But I won't actually make fun of you much. Yes, sir.
Is this the same? Is the My SSI app the same as logging onto a website
Yes.
on your browser.
Correct.
I went through the first 3 sections and
Uh-huh.
those 3 tests.
Yep.
Is that the same thing?
That's exactly the same thing. So if you guys would make sure, if you have one of these handy dandy sheets, and there is a blank picture at the top, it means you haven't uploaded a headshot. Please upload a headshot. Here's my promise to you. If we get to the end of open water and you've done all your homework, you've done all the, looked at it all, you passed all the skills, and you have not uploaded a headshot, I am a world champion on finding the most embarrassing possible photo of you that is humanly possibly, that you didn't even realize was out there. And I will upload it for you, and it will be on your card for the rest of your life. No, it'll be on there until you change it. But, but just ask my past classes. I am really good at finding embarrassing photos. I encourage you guys to participate in the class. This is a life-saving event, so please participate. We're going to do 4 academic sessions. We're going to do 4 pool sessions, 4 open water dives over the course of 2 days. I'm going to teach you guys equipment assembly and water work. You have to pass the final exam. It will be a paper exam with ink and paper and everything. You have to pass it with 80%. Here's the good news. If you do all your homework and read the book, you'll pass easily with 80%. If you ignored all the homework until after the final exam, you listen to my presentations, you'll pass the final exam with an 80% or better. If you do both, you'll be even better. And my final request is have fun, or else I will kick you to, no, I'm just kidding, I won't kick you to the curb, but please have fun. Please let me know what we can do to help you with that.
So is the book you're referring to different than the
Nope.
online course?
It's exactly the same.
Okay.
Exactly the same. Next slide. So as you look at the My SSI app, on the app, it's going to look like this. A little gear at the top for your settings. You also have fun little things like you'll be able to go in and get your dive logs, dive stats. Your courses will be at the bottom. We do give you little awards for little different things, and log dive sites. Simply enough to do your headshot and everything. Just go to settings. Next slide, please. Once you go into settings, go to personal data, scroll down, edit profile picture, and you can put a nice handy dandy photo of yourself in there. Next slide, please. Once you guys finish all your homework, if you guys wouldn't mind, go to that same settings, go to sync in settings, scroll all the way to the bottom, and just make sure you synchronize all. If you don't do it on a computer, it doesn't auto sync. And so if you do it on your phone or your tablet, it will not auto sync. So just go through and make sure you auto sync, or you manually sync that. As you look at your course, you're looking for your open water diver course. As you'll notice, it has 6 little bars on there. You just want to make sure all 6 bars are complete as well. Easy enough. That's how you can tell if you've done it all. It has 6 little bars. So, connecting with the SSI Dive Network, the advantage of the SSI digital system, it's got all kinds of cool, there'll be other classes in there you guys can take and you can look at. Once you get done with this class, it'll unlike things like try Scuba or boat diving or navigation. You can go through and start looking at that kind of stuff as well. It'll also give you opportunities to go through and have refreshers. If you start getting to a point, it's been 6 months or a year, and you're like, how did the emergency air thing work again? There's videos. It'll also help with dive sites as well. It's just a lot of fun. As we go through this, I will start showing my favorite dive of all time. This was Christmas Eve with my little crew. This is myself, my son, my daughter, and my blushing bride. We were out hunting turtles. Well, hunting with photos, but that's, so as you start saying, hey, Benjamin, what's your favorite dive ever? Was it 200 feet on Trimix with 6 tanks in a cave and a current at 20? No, it wasn't. That was an amazing dive, but my favorite dive at all time was diving with my family. So I absolutely love my kids, and I was very blessed. I certified my son. My daughter was already certified. My wife was already certified when we met. We actually met diving. So that is our little love story. Course standards: study the manuals, watch the videos, complete the academic and the pool sessions, and complete the open water trainings. I like throwing this up. This is where I started when I first got certified. I look like twice the goobers you guys will ever look like as well. So this is me as a goober going through the process. So my question to you guys is, what's your expectation from this class? How about you? What's your expectation?
Learn how to be a safe diver.
That's a great expectation. I like it. What's your expectation?
Confident in the water
Absolutely. My wife will tell you that the greatest amount of confidence comes when the day you jump off your first dive boat into the great blue ocean. Every time. But that first time, and you do it, and you go down, and you come back, and you get back on the boat, you're like, oh my God, I did that. It's so cool. There's just, my wife and I got lots and lots of dives, right? And tons of jumping off boats. And it's still every single time, it's like, we're jumping off the boat, we're jumping off the boat. I don't care if it's the 20th dive of the week, and we have done 20 dives in 1 week, and we're still like, yeah. How about you, sweetheart? Miss Non-Sullivan?
Bar's pretty low.
The bar's pretty low. Come back alive. I haven't lost a student yet.
Okay.
So we've got a pretty good average. So how about you, sweetheart? Oh, a little fear of the water? We can help with that. Good news is I've had panic divers, I've had gear rejection, I've had all kinds of wild things happen. I haven't lost a diver yet, and I haven't failed a diver that didn't fail themselves. Here's my bad story. I had an 11-year-old in my class, and I just couldn't get him to pay attention. No matter how many times I made him stand at the board and just drawing his little pictures and just wouldn't pay attention. Did fine on the pool. Got to the final exam and just failed it miserably. And I'm just like, and I just pulled it aside. I said, hey, you haven't failed. You can take the next class with me and we'll get you through this. And I felt bad because I hadn't failed anybody yet. And nobody had failed my class. And I called his mom and his mom said, oh, we didn't take it too seriously anyway. I was doing his homework for him. So it doesn't surprise me he failed his test. So please do your own homework. So that's the only student that, knock on wood, that I've lost at this point is that, and he's still alive, kicking and screaming, and you're just fine. So yeah, they had other things they were focused on. So did fine in the water. I just couldn't take him to open water without passing the test. So easy peasy. In fact, where we're going for open water, good news, you will not be able to get past 29 feet unless you bring a shovel. The water will be about 85 to 88 degrees at the surface. It'll get warmer as we go down. So it's pretty hard to have problems where we're going. You got to work to have a problem where we're going. So if you work really hard, maybe you can have a problem, but I haven't had anybody have a problem there. So how about you, big guy?
I had to go on a trip with some scuba divers, and so I'm getting certified.
Where are you going?
To
Mazatlan's awesome. You'll love it. I love that they've opened it. They had it closed up until about 4 or 5 years ago because of the kidnappings, but it's back to safe again.
Don't tell me.
I grew up like 30 miles from Mexico, so this is just like no big deal. I dealt with the cartels growing up, but no big deal. How about you, sweetheart?
Be safe, have fun.
Be safe, have fun. How about you, big guy?
I want to get my basics
Good. That's a good thing to do. So I didn't. I'm sorry.
down. Probably never get over it.
Mr. Sullivan, what would you like to learn? What's your expectation? Yay. Two more years, you're going to sit at steak knives?
I thought it was steak knife.
Okay. Anticipate.
Turned it to Walmart.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So it's good expectations. Nice. We're going to have fun. We're going to have. So what's your expectations from me? How about you? What's your expectation of me?
To help me through this process, I guess.
I can do that.
To let me know what I'm doing wrong or doing right. And I can kind
Absolutely. How about you, sweetheart?
Learn all the steps required to do this.
Easy peasy. I got you. How about you, Tiger?
maybe a little patience with my slow uptake, but once I know it forever.
Good. Easy. That's simple. How about you? Oh. Absolutely. So we're going to go at your pace, and that's a good point. The first hand-arm signal I want you guys to learn is going to be this one. It's going to be okay. Okay? It's always a question. So if I give you the okay, I will wait there forever until you give me an okay back. There we go. So, and I'll be very clear on that. So that's your first. It's always a question. Always a question. Are you okay? Now, don't do okay. That's the second part about it, is always tell me the truth. That's all I can expect out of you, is just be honest, right? If and we'll talk about integrity quite a few times throughout this, but just be honest with me. So as long as you're okay, give me the okay. That's your first hand-arm signal, right? There's going to be a lot of this because, as you may imagine, anybody like to swim? How easy is it when you're down swimming to talk to each other? Not so much. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a little sign language as we go through this. Your second hand-arm signal is if I ask you to do something and you are not comfortable, stop. That's all you got to do. I've done these skills once or twice now. I think I've got about just about there, right? This will be your first time through it. So we're going to go at your pace, not my pace. So if I go too fast, stop. Tell me to do it again, right? Now, if we're down and we're going to something and you have a problem, you can tell me this. Just try to tell me what's wrong with it. You know, my ears hurt. My tummy hurts. My dive buddy isn't. Just kidding. Whatever it is. But that's going to be the first one is okay and stop. I just want you guys to focus on those two for now. These are some fun pictures. Perfect. I've got some solutions for you. Absolutely. So these are some fun pictures that of Nikki and I off diving. Yes, this was a Valentine's trip for Nikki and I. We did this on Valentine's Day together. So other couples do go to fancy restaurants with candles and steak and fish. We went. It was pretty bad. So here's Nikki with a little turtle, little green turtle. Here's some shark diving with us. Yes, I was actually that close. The secret of sharks. Anybody worried about sharks at all? I thought maybe I heard some. Okay, so let me put your. Fair enough. Let me throw out some statistics for you guys. Who likes statistics? Who likes playing the lottery or doesn't play the lottery because they realize they have better chance of getting struck by lightning 3 times than winning the lottery, right? Same thing. So statistics are our friends, right? So would you believe me if I told you you have a 4-time more likelihood of being killed by a vending machine than you do of being bitten by a shark? Not killed, bitten. 40 people a year are killed by vending machines. Kid you not. It gets better. I think it's Bingham. But you have a 10-time more likelihood of being bitten by a human in New York City than you do of being bitten by a shark. Last year, just over 100 people were bitten by another human in New York City. True fact. So, yep. So the good news is we had a couple bites this year, or last year, and both the bites were people acting like baby wounded seals. If you do not act like a baby wounded seal, the shark hasn't got a lot of interest in figuring out what you're about. The first one in Nantucket, he was plashing around, pretending to be a victim for his lifeguarding buddies so they could practice saving a life. As he's splashing around, acting like a wounded baby seal, the shark said, huh, I wonder if that tastes good. He took a little taste and decided, no, it doesn't taste good. Same thing. There was a surfer on the East Coast splashing around pretty heavily. The shark came up and, nope, doesn't taste good. So there's very, very few shark deaths every year. They just don't have a lot of desire to bite you or be a part of that. Here's your secret. If you're diving and the shark comes towards you and you can touch your elbows to your side and you cannot touch them, you're still in their space, leave them alone. If they come and you can touch your elbows to your sides and you can touch them, you take 2 hands, you put it on the top of their head, and you just push them away. And they say, oh, okay. And they pretty much go on their way. They haven't got a lot of desire to be a part of you, right? All right, fun story. So don't reach out for them. Don't try and pet the fluffy puppies, right? It's like Yellowstone. Don't pet the fluffy cows. So on this particular dive, we were in a pretty heavy current. Here's our fun story for the day. This is an example of what not to do. We were at the surface, and the boat was on a heavy current, right? And he said, if I don't get within 15 to 20 feet of you, don't try and swim towards me. I'll come back and make another pass. And after the third pass of him coming by, I'd finally got Nikki on the boat and pushed her on the boat. And I was just behind a group of 4 divers, and he came by his third or fourth time, and I was like, dude, whatever. I just put my face down. I started kicking like I was Michael Phelps, and I'm heading towards it. Just below me was a shark, about an 8-9 foot. It was either a lemon or a silky. And I thought, I grew up watching Flipper. On Flipper, they grabbed a hold of the dorsal, and he I've seen this at Sea. This is don't do. And you see this at SeaWorld. They do it all the time. It must work. So I grabbed a hold of his dorsal, and he kicked, and it turns out I didn't make any more distance and any more closer to the boat than without this. So after about 2 minutes, I finally let go of the shark. He swam down. I'm pretty sure he flipped me the bird, and I swam and I got on the boat. So they don't have a lot of desire to mess with you. They will crash into you sometimes, but they're just testing out what's going on. Finding lobsters is always fun. Finding turtles is always fun. There's all kinds of fun things to see. So next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Where was I at? Did I ask you? I'm sorry. What's your expectation of me?
Just be direct. I learn better when I get around the bush.
I will be direct. I can easily do that. How about you, sweetheart? I can help you be safe. How about you? Help you be safe?
Yep.
I will. Done. Your wish is my command. Sexiness is part of it. So I make this mask look sexy. This is my son when I was certifying him. So we have the SSI Responsible Diver Code. It's pretty important. So I'm going to have you guys read this if you wouldn't mind. So we'll start with you.
Dive within the limits of my ability.
What does that mean to you?
Things that I like can control. Don't go too fast or I don't feel comfortable.
Absolutely. How about you, Bigger? You want to take the next one for me?
Evaluate the conditions before every dive and make sure they fit my personal capabilities.
That means if you just got open water certified, don't go cave diving. Interestingly enough, so I was listening to a podcast. I'll get to you just like, and they were. It's if anybody heard of Dr. Harry? Dr. Harry was the anesthesiologist for the Thai rescue divers. Really neat guy. He has a podcast about extreme sport athletes, right? And he does some pretty extreme diving. In fact, he was the one that did the hydrogen dive, one of the deepest dives, the first person to dive hydrogen in a deep cave, right? Amazing guy, super smart. This guy is just super daring, and he said the thing he has learned the best about extreme sport enthusiasts, and the reason they're still alive, is they have no problem coming up to a situation, standing at the edge of the cliff, and saying, "Nope, maybe tomorrow." So I promise you, the oceans will be there tomorrow. Don't be afraid to ever call a dive.
Yeah, I got my private pilot license 2 years ago when my friend and I were going to go flying, and we were getting ready to taxi. Called the Idaho Falls Tower, and they said they said declare that the guy who just came in said there's 40 knot winds 1,000 feet up. And I turned to my friend and said, "We're going to fly tomorrow." I fly for fun, not for exhilaration.
Absolutely.
So it was. I maybe could have done it, but had no interest in doing it. So
Absolutely.
that's what it means to me is, evaluate the conditions because they can change,
Mm-hmm.
and then make sure that my ability is.
Absolutely. So a friend of ours, her name is Jill Heinrich. You may have heard her. She's pretty. They did a About Jane on episode on her. She also has a whole bunch of Emmys awards and cave diving. First woman to dive a cave in an iceberg in Antarctica. I did an interview with her on my little channel, and amazing story. Just blows you away because Jill is 56 and she seems like the woman next door who has a really great garden and the apple pie recipe that you want, right? I could just see her. I told her this as well. She just seemed like my sweet neighbor who wants to come over and I added a little extra butter to your apple pie today because I really thought, she seems like that. And then here you find out she's this major, amazing person, but she's got, millions of dives kind of deal and all this. And she says, I asked her, when's the last time you called a dive? And she says, I call them all the time. I says, tell me about that. She says, usually I'll go out on a dive trip with friends or whatever, and we'll be doing a 5 or 6, 7 day. And she says, it's pretty common for me to call it last dive of the week and just sit on the boat and just enjoy the ride. The ocean will be there tomorrow. And even with all my brave, big dives that I like to do, I have zero issue calling a dive. None whatsoever. The lake will be there tomorrow. The river will be there tomorrow. The ocean will be there tomorrow. Be safe. I don't call a lot, but I do call them. So, how about you, sweetheart?
Yeah. Be familiar with and check my equipment before entering
What does that mean to you?
properly before I get in the water.
Absolutely.
During.
Absolutely. All right. How about the next one for you?
Respect buddy system
What does a buddy system mean to you?
it means safety. There's always somebody looking up for me.
There you go. Never dive alone. So I'm going to teach you guys something. This is something that you won't find any other open water class other than mine. As far as I know, I'm the only instructor that teaches this. We talk a lot about buddy system, and you'll see me. At some point I'll be, hey, where's your buddy? Where's your buddy? And it's my own little fun game because I know where your buddy's at. I just want to know that you know where your buddy's at, right? Where's your buddy? But I'm going to teach you. I want to take you this one step deeper. We're going to talk about team diving because I can be a buddy with Nikki, right? But I can be in a position where I can't help her, where I'm not able to assist with something. I'm not able to be her backup in some way. If there's a problem, I could be her buddy, but not close enough to get to her, right? Two guys in two different planes can be buddies, right? We're flying together. What happens if you pass out? Is he going to be able to help you? Right? Not a good situation. So buddy means that person's in the seat next to you. You're team diving, right? Is what I want you guys to think about. I need to be close enough that we're certainly not, glued to each other, but I can reach out and touch them. I can be aware of them, right? I can promise you. You gone to the mall with your dad ever?
Mall?
Yeah.
All the time.
Home Depot?
Home Depot, yeah.
Okay, gone to Home Depot with Dad. In your average half-hour visit to Home Depot, hopefully it's only a half hour, would you say that he has eyes on you at least every 2 minutes, every 4 minutes, every 10 minutes?
Well.
Every 4 minutes?
We're in the tool aisle, then it's probably
We keep track of each
When
other.
she was 2, it was every 2 minutes. Now that she's not 2, it's every 10.
Okay, so every 10 minutes. I'll take any number you give me, right? So here's the thing. How long can you hold your breath? 30 seconds? Yeah. So if he's checking you every 10 minutes and you run out of gas and you can hold your breath for 10 seconds, we'll be generous. We'll say 30. That means there's 9.5 minutes that you're not going to have air. That's going to be a problem, right? Keep track of each other better than we would in Home Depot. Team diving means that I'm in the seat next to you. If something happens, I can put my hands on those controls as well. I can save this flight. Team diving. It's a huge thing. And it's easy to do. It's really easy to do. Nikki and I do it all the time. We're horrible about it, right? We get on this reef and I'm checking the crab over here. That's so cool. And she's checking the eel over there. That's so cool, right? We get out of that posture. And then we revert back. We're like, oh. And especially when we start doing our big dives where we're doing multiple tanks, several tanks at a time, We have to be in control of that at all times. I was teaching a tech class recently, this is about a month and a half ago, where I had a diver that had an uncontrolled inflation. We were at 130 feet coming up, we'd been down at 130 feet for almost an hour, and we had about 40 minutes of decompression obligation, which meant we couldn't not come to the surface. If we come to the surface, we would get DCS, the bends. One of us would, or both of us would be in a hospital immediately, period. No question about it. We'd be in a hospital, right? He had it uncontrolled, but because I was right on top of him, I was able to grab him, pull him back down, fix the inflation issue, adjust his BC, and get back on track. If we had not been in a team diving situation, he'd been at the surface, and then I'd had to make the decision, well, he's got the bends. Do I go up after him and get the bends too and drag him to shore and us both go to the hospital? So do we have one DCS issue or two? Or none. Team diving made it a none situation. Absolutely.
I would say
I could have taken the time, but would have been to my advantage to leave him. We were and guessed if he'd got to help or not got to help, right? It becomes a situation, team diving. So it talks in your books a lot about buddy diving, right? Be a good buddy, be a good dive buddy, be there for your buddy. But if you think of it in team diving situation, team diving is this close. Buddy diving is, I'm way over here, he's way over there, right? If he runs out of air and I'm watching a coral, maybe I get to him, maybe he gets to me, maybe he doesn't. Team dive. Okay? I think this is hugely important. Not a Sullivan? What does that mean to you? Absolutely. In the end, we do team dive, but you have to make sure that you're mentally and physically, and maybe even spiritually ready for every dive. You know, it depends on how far you want to take that. I say spiritually because for me, this is a big way that I work through my PTSD. Absolutely. Nikki can tell when I've had a bad week, and she's usually the first one to say, hey, we should go for a dive. She can tell when I'm just at that point where I'm gonna, whatever. So I have to be responsible for me, but I also have to be ready mentally, spiritually, and physically to do that. And so I check my gear, make sure it works, make sure my tank's attached, make sure my regulators work, make sure, because it's my gear. She'll absolutely check my gear, but it's my responsibility. All righty, Mr. Sullivan. What does that mean to you? Yep.
there are a lot of places too. All these trash bags. Those are down with the
Awesome. So for diving, we're going to say take only pictures, leave only bubbles. Don't touch the coral, don't touch the sea life, don't touch anything. There's a lot of things down there that can poke you. There's wonderful things called fire coral that will definitely give you a good rash. There are spiny point urchins that will poke you. And if something clips you, it's most likely because you decided to be somewhere where you weren't and do things you weren't supposed to. So, and coral is very easily damaged. So what are your guys' concerns about open water diving? What scares you?
The unknown. Down deep.
It's amazing. We're going to get you there. How about you, sweetheart?
I did a ton of swimming and snorkeling as a kid.
Right on. What worries you, though? What's got you on edge a little?
I guess like just the unknown, doing all these activities.
Fair enough. How about you?
grew up in the ocean, and I know that sometimes it's very unpredictable. So those
There are definitely a lot of those. Absolutely. There's a cool dive that I've been wanting to do. It's in Oregon, and you have to time it within 5